And the other... The other race I was going to talk to you about was Austria. Yeah.
No, but in a way, there is a lot of story about Austria. Austria is talkable, you see, but not. It was created in a way in Brazil. It was memes about, but why Brazilian driver backed off and came away from the throttle, and I would never done that. People say I would never done that. So how come you say I would never done that if you didn't hear what I hear and what? That's what I say to the whole Brazilians. I say, look, I can't say 100%, but 99% of the whole population would have done exactly the same as me on that situation, because it was just a. I had just signed a contract for another 2 years. I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know what to say. So it was hard. It was really hard to not to have done it. And for sure, again, the same way as those curbs, the high curbs that I teach people that they shouldn't exist. That day in Austria, I was telling the whole world what it was going through with me for a long time. And they made better rules, better, the radio was open for public. And so I've always said they had to use me to something, but we made it better.
Listen, how much, we're talking about Austria 2002, for those who aren't aware, when Rubens had to move over and let Michael Schumacher win the race. How much discussion was there over the radio before you actually did the deed and moved over?
8 laps.
8 laps worth of
yes.
of what was being said.
You can ask him. He's sitting.
So Ross Brawn is just behind us, I think.
So on another interview. So it's 8 laps worth conversations, and
how did they explain it to you over 8 laps?
They were trying to be minimal on words, and I kept on saying that my point there was that in 2001. I had to do the same in Austria, because Austria, Silverstone, Interlagos, those tracks I was superior than Michael. It was almost like mental. I would go to a place I knew that I would qualify in front of him and race better. So 2001, it was DC. Both of them are sitting on the same rim as us. So DC was he was winning the race. He won actually the race in Austria. I think he did anyway, 2001, and I was second and Michael third, and they asked me to change positions, and after the race, quite interestingly, I went to talk to them and I said, what would have happened if I was leading the race? I said, if you were leading the race, we would never ask you that. And that was my point 1 year after on those 8 laps. You guys told me that in my face. I said, oh, Rubens, we can talk later. I said, no, we got to talk now. The race is finishing. So,
did your relationship with the team ever recover?
It did, because I wanted to. And they had to recover up to me. They had to give me back so many things that I was going after. There was no question. I never questioned that I had the same ability as Michael. I'm not saying that. Maybe it's not 17-30. Maybe it was 60-40. Maybe it was 55-45. Or maybe 80-20. It doesn't matter. I was mentally more prepared for more winning than whatever was offered to me. So whenever someone achieves that thought, he says, okay, yes, okay, that is the boy that won 5 titles in go-kart. He won Formula Opel Lotus, he won Formula 3. It's not, whenever he thinks, oh, that guy was the one that backed off the pedal, that is the wrong mental attitude, because that's what I say. I think 99% would have done the same.
I think Michael was embarrassed on the podium. He certainly looked embarrassed. But what about you guys away from the racetrack? The rivalry was intense on it.
He never talked to me about that. He never talked to me about that. He never talked to me about the U.S. Because the U.S., you remember when it was kind of him giving back the... whenever I was stronger than him that day in Indianapolis, but on the pit stops he came in front of me, and I was running right behind him, and we came out of the turn 1 Indianapolis corner, and he backed off, and I swerved to the right because I almost crashed into him. And I backed off too. I said, well, what is that? And all of a sudden, he backed off even more, and my car started to go. But maybe he thought, okay, he doesn't want because he's backing off, so I go. And I think, okay, he's kind of giving it to me. I got to take it. A win is a win. That's why the finish is so close, because I think it was a question marks all the way through. There wasn't I didn't want it at first, but then I said, okay, I'll take it. So it was that. Amazing. I have 11 wins and 12 trophies, cups, because that Indianapolis one I never gave him back. So you got too many. So I'll stay with that.